Well, good morning. Welcome to Wednesday and a Wednesday reflection. It's so good to get to share with you. It was great to be together this weekend for church and for home teams. It's great to I really enjoyed getting to be with the men last week for Bible study. It's just good to be with the family of God. And I'm so thankful that God has called my family to be with the cornerstone part of his family for this season, and just really enjoyed time with you guys. Great to worship together this weekend. I wanted to share a couple of celebrations with you, or just some perspectives from the pastor's seat before I share reflections. So I want to just share some encouragement. This last week, I heard from two of our members who have been with us just for a few years, really. And they both said in two different settings, one in a men's Bible study, one in a home team, that I have learned more and grown more in my time at Cornerstone Community Bible Church than anywhere else. Well, as a pastor, that's an incredible encouragement. It's also an incredible call up and challenge as a new pastor. Say, God, may we continue to be the kind of church where people would say that about their time with us. And of course, if you were with us here on Sunday, you know that the entire focus of the passage this weekend in Ephesians 4 was about growth. This weekend, we were reminded that God is equipping us to work for growth. Not just the growth and maturity of us individually in our faith, but the growth and maturity of us as a church. What is God calling us to do? He's calling us to do the work of ministry that we might grow up into the people of God he desires for us to be. So this morning for my Wednesday reflection, I just wanted to reflect a little bit more on that calling and really kind of challenge myself and us to live out this calling in a significant way. You might remember at the very end of the sermon, if you were with us or joined us or watched online, that I shared this quote from a gentleman in 1909, H.D.M. Spence Jones. And here's what he said about the church. He said, "The church has been defined as an institution that has truth for its nourishment, love for its atmosphere, and Christ for its head." The church has been defined as an institution that has truth for its nourishment, love for its atmosphere, and Christ for its head. Well, church, that is my hope for us, that we would be a church that has truth, the truth of God's word as our nourishment, that it's not what Daniel can bring or what Daniel can share. It's just what I can help you learn and equip you with the truth of God's word to live out. That we would be nourished by the truth of God's word, that the atmosphere of our church, the environment of our church would be one of genuine love for each other. That we deeply desire one another to know Christ, to make him known, to grow into full adulthood and maturity as followers of Christ and as a community of Christ. That when we have to call one another up to right behavior and to loving the Lord faithfully, we can do it because the other person knows we love them dearly. And when someone calls us up, we know they love us, even when it doesn't feel good, to be spoken the truth of God's word in a way that we need to hear it, even though we don't want to, but we know that somebody who loves us dearly is saying it. And so we step up and we lead that challenge. Well, that's what I wanted to speak with a bit today in this Wednesday reflection, is this idea of speaking the truth in love. And so to set the tone, I just want to reread the two last verses from the Sunday sermon to you. Ephesians 4:15 and 16. "Rather, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the whole body, joined and held together by every joint with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love." Church, love is so important to what we do as a church, and the love of God and the love of Christ is certainly the foundation there. And just a little bit earlier, you might remember from Ephesians 3 that Paul had written to the churches there in Ephesus to say that you being rooted and grounded in love. Church, that we as believers and as a community of believers would be rooted and grounded in the love of God and the love of Christ. That Christ loved us so much, that he loved you so much that he went to the cross. Dear believer, dear church member, dear friend, do you know that God not only loved the world, but he loved you so much that he sent his son to die for you? How great the love of God. And of course, there in Ephesians 3, Paul then goes on to write that his prayer for the people in Ephesus is that they would know and comprehend with all the saints the breadth and the length and the height and the depth of the love of God. That's my prayer for you, that you would, during your time with us here at Cornerstone, comprehend more fully and more grasp more completely the fullness of God's love for you and the fullness of Christ and God's love in and through Christ for you. So the passage, right? Rather speaking the truth in love, that love that God uses to grow us up in every way into Christ. That we grow up every way as Christ joins this body together using those, you might have noticed the equipping language here in verse 16, that he's equipped us, that he's given us pastors and teachers and apostles and evangelists and prophets to equip us for the work of ministry. So the things that God is using to join together the parts of the body are those, our teachers and our pastors, our shepherds, to equip us so that when everyone is doing the work of ministry, when everybody is working properly and in the place they're supposed to be, that the body grows as it should in love. Well, that's certainly my hope for us, church, that we would not only be a church that people come to and experience the love of God and the love of Christ, that to the best of our ability as imperfect human beings who are being sanctified and one day will be fully sanctified, glorified, that even now, as we do it imperfectly, people would catch a glimpse and a taste of Jesus' love because we've experienced it and we want to show it to them. That they might say, why are you the way you are? To share another story with you, I just heard from one of our staff members. We had a couple go to a home team this weekend, and one of the spouses said, you know what, I haven't really gone to church with my other spouse because church has always not been a hard place for me to be. But Cornerstone's a place where I feel loved. And I know that I'm not where everybody else is, but this is a place where I'm experiencing the love of God. Church, may that be true of us. May we never forget to partner that with truth, the truth of God's word, the gospel, and our need for Christ. But may we be a church that's defined by speaking the truth in love, that we would grow up in the truth of who Christ is and in love in that way. Well, church, this week, you, me, all of us, let us commit to growing, to live more faithfully in the truth of God's word, to speak it to one another, and to do so in love, that we might grow individually and as a community into the people that God has for us. Well, I want to close, as I usually do, with just a couple of reminders. It's not too late to join our men and women's Bible studies, both tonight at 6:30 here at the church. Jump into the men's Bible study, jump into the women's Bible study, jump into the men's Bible study on 7 a.m. on Friday mornings up the street at Rudy's, or the women will have met this morning at 9 a.m. here at the church. Join in, grow, be nourished by the truth of God's word. And while you do, you'll experience the love of God's people here as well. And it's not too late to join the home teams. We had a great weekend this last weekend. Home teams are going to be meeting over the next couple of weeks as well. And so jump in, get plugged into a community of believers who want to love one another well as we point each other to the truth. And that we would be a place that does that as we grow. So get involved. Wherever you are, get off the bench, get in the game, be a part of ministry, be a part of a Bible study, be a part of a home team. Not that you have to do all of them, but man, you will grow and we will grow when you get in the game in one of those areas. I love you. I look forward to seeing you this weekend. I hope you have a great rest of the week. God bless.